Man, it was nice to play hooky last week. Sorry to our listeners, but we needed a little summer vacation before training camp start. I ended up getting stuck with some work stuff. We had some other plans going on with Justin, and at that point we just said, "Hey, what do you think? Week off?"
Yeah, it was well deserved. College football, college football 25 came out, gave me plenty of time to play.
There you go. There you go. And there was really not much news. I don't want to ho hum the off season, but July is tough to get into, so we haven't missed too much. Did you get your batteries recharge out there, Justin?
For sure, it definitely did. And over the last couple of weeks, we didn't really get anything that was really news buzz worthy, anyways. It was around the same time that everybody else was taking time off, from all of their shows and whatnot. And it felt like that it was nothing but grasping of straws. A lot of rankings came out, and at this point, I'm just tired of rankings. Let's just get into some real football conversations now. I mean, the ESPN top 10 quarterback rankings took a lot of buzz last week, and I definitely would have loved to have gotten my takes on that. But otherwise, it's just one of those things where it's like it's another list. It's narrative driven, and quite frankly, I'm done with narratives right now. Training camp is now here, and I'm ready to get started with the 24 season.
Yeah, man, absolutely. There's a lot of good stuff going on. I did see, to your point, over the past couple weeks, watching sports media all over the place, listening on podcasts and watching on TV. Been a lot of substitute teachers out there. A
Yeah, for
lot of
sure.
people I didn't know hosting. I was like, that's not Colin Cowherd. I don't know who
Nah.
that is.
They had a lot of
But
fill-in guys and stuff like that, a lot of stand-ins, and man, they definitely tried to make their takes well known on the
yeah,
platform. They tried to take advantage of it, and it was like, yeah, this is clear that you're just covering while such and such is on vacation right now in the mountains taking a break, because once this person come back, people are going to just absolutely forget that you were even a co-host on, even just like a stand-in host on the show. But
yep.
whatever. Good for those people that
Yeah.
actually, broke bread on the mic. I hope to get there someday, but not hating, but we was ready for the real stuff to happen.
We just took a week off, and now we are back, and we are back rolling all the way through the football season every Wednesday night at 8:05. Thanks for joining us. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back. Running through the jungle. I'm your host, Brandon Herriott, aka B Dirt, with your host, Justin Lacey and Tim Lyons. What's going on, fellas?
What to do?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Glad to be back on the mic with you all.
Well, it looks
Yeah,
like sunshine out there in the Seattle area. What's going on out there?
it's been in the 70s and no rain or nothing, just beautiful weather. Um, it's kind of a break for us, over here because it gets hot and humid, and I don't want to be inside right now. It's beautiful, and I want to be outside right now. So here I am.
Yeah, we aren't having that. And listen, save some of that for us. For that, save some of that weather for October when I'm gonna come in there. All right.
Yeah, if you're lucky, brother.
All right. Well, I was expecting 8:30 here, so we'll go ahead and get into topic number one. Before we have our special guest come on, real quick, uh, we got training camp started. The news is Joe Burrow is released, full practice, allowed to have contact, and what else was newsworthy? Oh yeah, he cut his hair off and dyed it.
Hey, you know what? The amount of nicknames that our fan base have just inquired about Joe Burrow's hair has just been golden. I've heard Slim Shady. I've heard Slim Shiesty. Those are the two main common ones that we see there. I call them Buzz Lightyear, Buzz the Burrow Lightyear. So that was my nickname for him. It didn't pick up any steam or anything like that. But until he dyed his hair blonde, yeah, he's out here looking like a tennis ball. It's amazing stuff. So, and he ain't the only one that got his hair done. You know what I mean? If you're watching us on YouTube live, I got my hair a little bit done too. So, I mean, I can't necessarily tilt my screen so that way you can see it, but just take my word for it. So,
I just don't have a hat on. Austin Zart, thanks for tuning in to us again. Yeah, man, Tim, there was several guys came in with the buzz cut, but Joe Burrow said he did his because if he went blonde, BJ Hill was going to have to do blonde, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he said today during the presser, he said that media and social keep him accountable and make him do it because they made that deal. If he was going to go buzz cut and blonde, BJ was going to go buzz cut, and I'm going to assume blonde as well. So it's pretty funny that these guys. I know last year, who was it? Was it BJ Hill had to shave his head last year as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was BJ Hill. He's getting on he's on the wrong receiving end of these hairstyles, man.
Yeah, these hairstyles. He's just but he did end up shaving his head later on.
He pulled off the bald hair look though. It looked good on him.
It did. It looked good. But for me, I've been sporting it for 20 years, so it's not like nothing new for me.
You ain't really bald though.
All right, and we have the fourth. Did you guys know there was 4 Musketeers, by the way? The 4th Musketeer, Chase Younts in the building. What's going on, Chase?
What's going on, man? My belly's full right now. Ready to talk some Bengals football.
You can't believe what we're talking about. We're talking about hair.
Hey, I mean, went to the barber last week, so I'm cool with talking hair. That's fine with me.
Listen, Austin's art hit it right here. Double A, talking about how it reminds him of Eminem. Man, like I used to live outside of Detroit, so I'm going with the Slim Shiesty all day. That's my nickname for it. I love it. I love it.
Slim Shiesty is a good one. I think that's going to be the one that sticks and echoes throughout the season.
Yeah, I hope he takes what's his too. Go out there, get it. I'm ready for it. And we did have this queued up. I was going to bring in here shortly after the break, but looks like we've come a little bit earlier. I want to see. I think our special guest here can come on. I'll have him introduce himself, and I'll introduce him. I'll have him say a few words here, and then we'll get back into Burrow talk. But we have a Cincinnati media legend in the building. Welcome, Chick Ludwig. Chick, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and you've been covering this team for a long time.
Brandon, it's great to be with you and all your buddies. For the fans out there, we were introduced through a mutual, friend who happens to be my brother, Jeff, who's also in the food business. So right. It's great to be with you tonight. And fans will notice there's no fancy bookcase behind me. Spartan 2-bedroom apartment in Miamisburg, Ohio. I call it the Miamisburg War Room. And just ready to talk some Bengals football. I had the beat for the Dayton Daily News from 1997 through 2009. Took early retirement at the age of 55. And you're catching me on the eve of my 70th birthday. 7/25, 54. So I'm a substitute teacher. And the kids ask me, how old are you, Mr. L? And I say, you do the math, 7/25, 54. And
they all pull their phones out.
70, unbelievable. But like Bill Cunningham of 700 WLW says, hey, we never quit. We just keep moving forward. Yes. So it's awesome to be with you tonight. And talking some Bengals, really excited for this season. If it doesn't happen this year in New Orleans, it'll never happen.
Man.
Don't tell us that, Chick. Come on, Chick. Don't put that energy in the atmosphere.
As I like to say on the air, I've got my coffee.
Yes.
I've got my computer. All I need is you.
That's awesome. What I'm talking about. I love it. That is the iconic line that you always put. I've enjoyed listening to you on the radio station on 700 WLW, the post-game reactions of every Bengals game, win, lose, or draw, especially during the Dalton era. I think that you truly made your heyday of just doing the divide of the Dalton haters versus Dalton lovers. I feel like you were always there to be the calming force, to be like, hey, guys, you ready to throw the energy?
Voice of reason.
Yeah, well, what's funny is Marvin Lewis and I had our moments. There were a lot of moments. And when I would go off to a road game or even at the Super Bowl, a lot of fellow sports writers would watch that news conference on Mondays and said, if you didn't ask the first question, man, I turned it off or whatever. So, and what are you doing writing sports with that voice? You need to be on the radio. Well, it took 55 years to get on the radio. So trying to make that transition from print to broadcast, it's been a challenge. It's not easy, but I do enjoy it. It's just a different kind of pressure. But Bengals post-game sports talk with either, Tim McGee. God, I hope he can come back. But, Joe Walter, Jim Breach, David Fulcher, love being with a former Bengal. And even when they lose, man, it brings the fans out. Yeah. And it's fun when they win, believe me. I'd rather them win. But even when they lose, man, the fans are upset, and it makes for great radio.
Absolutely. I really don't think you have a Fairweathers Bengal fan that's under the age of 15. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
We've been through some stuff. We've seen some things.
Oh. Well, during my time as the beat writer, I only batted about 38%. I mean, it was a big time struggle when they finally broke through and reached the playoffs. God, or the postseason, it was just unbelievable. And then finally to win a postseason game, the glass ceiling there. So, but it's an incredible franchise with an unbelievable history. And, with Paul Brown and all the innovations that this team has had with Dick LeBeau on defense, Bill Walsh with the West Coast offense. God, a lot has happened in Cincinnati.
I do got a question for you, Chick. Brandon, you want to start first? Or
no, go ahead. You're good.
So my question is basically going to be very generic, and I know that you started off with the hot cup of coffee with the energy. You talk about if it doesn't happen this year, it's not going to happen. So it feels like that this is going to give me a preview of your answer to this question. What is your outlook on the 2024 Bengals as you preview this upcoming season? And as you answer that, I have to put this little nugget up there.
Well, I wish the games were played on paper because this is an awesome team. There's no doubt in my mind it's better than last year, probably better than the team that reached the Super Bowl in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. The problem is, the division gets better.
Right.
And just looking at looking at the Baltimore Ravens, I mean, facing Derrick Henry once every couple years was enough. Now it's twice a year. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh has drastically improved their quarterback room. And the Cleveland Browns arguably have the most talent. So, the Bengals struggled in the division last year. That's got to change because it's a step-by-step process. The division, the regular season, the division, the regular season, and then the postseason. And really it's the off season and then the preseason. So they've got to get through this as healthy as possible. But high hopes. I'm not wild about the schedule with, coming out of the, their bye week and all the road games. But hey, everybody's in the same boat in that vein. But keeping Joe Burrow healthy, God, keeping him healthy is so huge.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you look at our schedule versus the rest of the division, though, I mean, we're sitting in a pretty good spot, especially when you look at Baltimore and Pittsburgh schedules are rough. I think all three of the other division teams were top 6 strength of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And we're somewhere in the middle, like middle bottom of the pack.
17, 18 in that regard.
Yeah. So I think our schedule's favorable comparatively, but Burrow staying healthy is number one, number one, with a bullet, without a doubt. Because we saw training camp today, Burrow under center more. We started talking about that last year in off season, and then what happens? Calf injury.
Yeah.
And he's stuck on a spot on an island, and everybody just put their ears back and went for him.
The knee, the appendix, the calf, the wrist. Oh my gosh. Now, real quick to backtrack, you guys were talking hair when I came on, and it just brought back memories of Adrian Ross. Remember him? the linebacker from Colorado State.
Yes.
With the Bengals striped hair.
Yes.
The afro, so
Adrian the Mad Backer Ross.
I forgot all about him.
I've heard that
not
name for a
mentioned
minute.
at all when it comes. If you think of stylistics and new hairdo, the Mad Backer was always. He was one of those guys up there that nobody really talks about.
Yeah,
he had the voice for it too.
And I love Bengals history, the players who played. I admire and respect everyone who's put on the pads. And a lot of people don't know this about me, but one of my hobbies is keeping track of deceased Bengals players. And I'm up to, with Jimmy Browner's death, I'm up to like 66 guys. Wow. You had to have played in a regular season game to qualify. But I keep track of deceased Bengals. And every once in a while, I'll get a message from Dan Horde or Bengals management. Hey, can you send us your list? The list is precious to me. I don't give it out to everybody. But every once in a while on my Facebook page, I will list just the deceased players. Mm-hmm. But, the date of death, the cause, the years they played for the Bengals, their college, I've got all that.
You got it all detailed.
I got all that with me. And, the alumni are precious to me. And if I could pick out a dream job, which I did apply for when I retired from the Dayton Daily News, the Bengals Alumni Relations Director. That's what I would have loved to have done. But now that I'm 70 and I'm doing some radio, I'm a substitute teacher, volleyball ref, and fast pitch softball umpire. Love it all.
Nice. That's staying busy. That's for sure.
I got to ask, Chick. So I heard from I work for Michael Cooper. Okay, he works at the Springfield News and Sun.
Yes,
he was there. Now I work for him at my county internship. So you do some softball umpiring, is that right?
Oh yeah. USA softball all summer, high school in the spring, and absolutely love it. It's baseball on 5 cups of coffee, tighter field.
Oh yeah,
but. Absolutely love it. Every girl that comes to the plate, I say she could be my daughter. Respect them and treat them with kindness. And it's just a faster game.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it. Yeah.
I was about to mention because Kenton Ridge, that was my high school, actually. They went on a deep turnaround. Did you umpire a couple games for them?
I did not do Kenton Ridge. I do Cincinnati, Dayton area.
Okay.
All over the place. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And got to do a regional game. And 5 postseason assignments. Yeah. So we just keep rolling. And Kenton Ridge, man, when you think of their baseball heritage, it's phenomenal. Oh, yeah. It really is. Yeah.
It definitely is. We're not known for basketball. I'll tell you that. That's what I played, not known for basketball. But,
right, yeah.
But I do want to ask something before we kind of move on. With my name being Chase, there's another Chase on the team in the Bengals, Chase Brown. The explosive back out of Illinois.
And Jamar Chase.
And Jamar Chase. That's very But I saw a video of Chase Brown earlier, and he had a cutback on on a halfback cutback and everything, and the entire internet's blowing up over this thing. How excited are you for Chase Brown this year? And
very excited. We've got to give Joe Mixon some credit.
Oh yeah,
the guy was an absolute warrior. But the time comes when there has to be a passing of the torch. And I think it's Chase Brown's time. Now, they also have Zach Moss. Okay.
Yep.
And, and I saw an early depth chart where Zach Moss is listed as the number one back or whatever. But Chase Brown, man, awesome. Speed, quickness, and the first time he touched the ball this year after his hamstring injury, he went 30 yards, and it was the longest run from scrimmage all year.
Insane.
Right away. So love him, durable at Illinois, and I'm just looking for big things. And then with Zach Moss, keeping both backs fresh, critical, absolutely critical.
Yeah, I think that's a big key to it for sure. I love his explosiveness with this team, not having to just singly rely on the wide receiver position for that explosion, being able to get it whether it's a swing pass or whether it's a run or not.
Yes,
that's a great point out. Just Chase is is a student at Cincinnati Bearcats going into, I don't know what officially it's under, but it's under media, correct, Chase?
Yeah, media production. So I'm doing a lot of the sports broadcasting for the student networks over there, and working with ESPN Plus and everything else. So it'd be a big year coming up for my senior year.
Fantastic. And at iHeartMedia Cincinnati, our producers, a lot of them have come through Cincinnati and have gone on. Look at James Rapine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we were, we did some shows together. Awesome. I was the get off my lawn uncle, and he was the progressive young stud. And look at where he is now, man. Just awesome. So just keep it going, man. And that's fantastic. Really proud of you, Chase. That's great.
I appreciate it, Chick. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Justin actually had Jake Liskow on the show a couple weeks ago when I was actually doing one of those food shows where I met Jeff at.
Yeah.
And I was introduced from him. I was like walking by, and one of the guys that he works with, Corey, watches another show I do that's a gambling show.
Yeah.
And gets his picks from me. So he grabbed me and was like, "Let me introduce you to Jeff." It's like his brother's in the radio business in Cincinnati, and He's like, "Do you know Chick Ludwig?" I'm like, "Yeah." Yeah, who listens to Bengals and doesn't? Yeah, of course I do.
Facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so many connections. That's awesome. I was on a podcast a while back, and Corey Dillon and I were on together. For about 45 minutes. It was just awesome. It was I forget, we were at the Holy Grail Banks, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Broadcasting. And I forget what game it was last year. I was on with, Tony and Mo and Lance McAllister. And CD walks in, and he sees me on the stage. And he goes, my man. I said, CD. I jumped down from the stage, give him a big hug, and just love the guy. He's one of my top 5 Bengals. I made out a little list here of my favorite players.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, you want to hear it?
Well, let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick pause for the cause here. Hear from some of our sponsors. If you're on watch us on YouTube, we're just gonna chill for just a few seconds. If you're on Spotify or any of those other Apple podcast places, please go ahead, subscribe, like, thumbs up, share us, tell a friend to tell a friend where you can get your Bengals info right here at Running Through the Jungle. We'll be right back in just a few seconds. All right, welcome back to Running Through the Jungle. We have special guest Chick Ludwig that was just getting ready to share his top 5 Bengals players of all time. Now, is this your top 5 or is this your favorite 5?
You know, it's pretty much my favorite 5. Although I've got, a ton of them, but I really wanted to pick out 5 guys who are very special to me. And I want to start with Mr. Bengal, his own self, Dave Lapham. Okay, because when I got the beat in 1997, and I'm sitting down in Georgetown College in a very hot dormitory, Lap is there, and he's counseling me on team personnel, players, management, really bringing me up to speed. And then I have always admired him, as a player. And then as a broadcaster, he's been with the team like forever. So I want to give a shout out to Dave Lapham, Mr. Bengal. He should have been, they should have had 10 members go on the Ring of Honor right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that when Lap goes in, that he will go in by himself. I really do.
What about him and Chris Collinsworth for next year?
That's a possibility. I want to mention here Lamar Parrish. Okay, because Ken Riley is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His running mate on the other side of the field was Lamar Parrish. And all you have to do is Google up his name and YouTube. And Tommy Casanova told me for my book that was published in 2004, Paul Brown would stand on the sidelines in awe of Leaping Lamar Parrish because a lot of balls didn't go his side of the field like a Deion Sanders. And that's what kept Ken Riley out for so long, because I talked to a lot of the I was on the Hall of Fame selection committee for 10 years, and a lot of the selectors said, well, you can't put both of them in, and then one over the other. Well, they finally did do the right thing and get Ken Riley in because he was top 5 in all-time interceptions. But Leap, when he got the ball in his hands, he said, I'm scoring, not just as a kick returner, punt returner, cornerback. The dude scored every which way you could possibly score. Block field goals, block punts, kickoff returns, and just unbelievable. And he did it numerous times. And that's why when he had a contract dispute with the Bengals and management, the teams that he burned, the Washington, now Commanders, the Washington Redskins, and the Buffalo Bills, snapped him up. Reggie Williams is on my list. Just an unbelievable person and great player, 16 years as a Cincinnati Bengal. Utmost respect for him. That knee that's been operated on 15 times. And here's a guy that at Wilmington College during the dog days of summer, no air conditioning, no fan, and he slept on the floor, and he was a ninja warrior, and that's how he put it. Of course, Corey Dillon. He went for 278 yards, and a dozen of those runs went for 280. 10 of his 22 carries. 10 of his carries were for 1, 0, or negative yards. So the 12 for 280, 10 runs for -2 in that game against Denver.
I never realized that.
Yes. Yeah, Corey Dillon. I've got it on my refrigerator each run. And then a tie for 5th, my favorite Auburn Tigers, and I have an affinity when it comes to the Iron Bowl, Willie Anderson and Takeo Spikes. We would gather around Willie's locker, and we basically said, beep, beep, beep. It was the loading dock. It was the truck backing up to the loading dock for Willie Anderson. And then every word that came out of Takeo Spike's mouth was an unbelievable quote, starting with, when I tackle someone, I want his helmet to fly off with his head inside of it. So, yeah. But
Yeah,
those are my guys,
Wow.
including, Jeff Blake's in there, Carson Palmer. When I also was the sporting news correspondent. They asked a lot of me. They asked a lot of the quarterback. And every time I approached Carson Palmer, he was fantastic. And so, yeah,
That's a great list. I'm a Takeo Spikes fan for sure.
Oh man, the first person in a running play that the guards and centers are after is that weak side backer, and they were coming after Takeo, and just a phenomenal player. In his illustrious career, never reached the playoffs with the Bengals, the Bills, and the 49ers. So, but love him dearly. And when he became a Buffalo Bill, the Bengals are playing the Bills in a preseason game up in Buffalo, Orchard Park. And I hurried with getting done with my story, ran out to the bus because I knew he would come out to see the players. And I gave Takeo a hug. And the next day in the locker room, Willie said, Chick, you were scaring Takeo. You were scaring him. Yeah. So, but Takeo, very special player.
Didn't Takeo Spikes play with the San Diego Chargers as well?
I believe so. Yes.
I think he played.
Yeah.
Was he on that 2013 Chargers team that upset us in the playoffs?
Yeah.
So he did get a playoff win.
You know what? I'd have to check that. I really would. I didn't think he got to the playoffs. And if he did, he didn't play in a playoff game, but maybe he did. I could be wrong.
I don't recall that. I just remember him during the days with Chargers. It was the week in the regular season that I was getting ready to play the Chargers. He spoke to the Cincinnati media, I believe, and then talked about his time with Cincinnati a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just remember, like, man, if only the organization would have, remodeled itself so much sooner. Guys like him, Willie, a lot of the guys on your list, Corey Dillon, Willie Anderson, Takeo Spikes, would have been benefits of the Marvin Lewis benefit factors probably nowadays.
Well, Takeo wound up finally getting some Pro Bowl votes when he left, and Willie's influence helped Takeo.
I believe that as well. Yeah, definitely.
I like the dynamic here because we have multiple kind of generations of Bengals fans. So when you look at the difference between some of our, I'll say all-time favorite Bengals, there's going to be some interesting tidbits and additives in here. Chick, Tim and I have known each other for 40-ish years, 40, 42, somewhere around there.
A long time.
We grew up in Lima, Ohio together.
Oh,
yeah.
Now
I almost worked at the Lima News. There was a chance.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Lima's a great place to be from.
Yeah.
No offense to my brother and that still live there. But we kind of grew up the same, age and same kind of Bengals teams. And you got Justin, a little bit younger than us. Then you got, Chase. He's just turned legal here recently.
Oh.
He can have a drink now without having to worry about it, which is big. So I'm curious here. And I'll start with Tim. Tim, who do you have in your top 5 favorite Bengals that may surprise Chick here?
Yeah, I always say number one Cincinnati Bengal for me is Anthony Munoz.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the greatest left tackles to ever play the game. I love Anthony Munoz. I always have. I've enjoyed watching him play growing up. And then, of course, Ken Anderson. Ken Anderson was, I was a little bit younger, but I did get to see him in the Super Bowl against Joe Montana and the 49ers. And then there's our other quarterback, Boomer Esiason. I grew up watching them as well. Took us to the Super Bowl, was an MVP. I loved Boomer. And then, of course, Ken Riley. Ken Riley, hell of a corner. Loved, he was a hell of a corner. And then, so for my number 5, I was going to say, I was kind of playing with some ideas, some players. But Chick, you know what? You're a man of my heart. I love Corey Dillon as much as you do. I love it when Cincinnati Bengals run the damn ball, and I remember watching Corey Dillon.
He says that way too often, Chick.
I do. But I love Corey Dillon. I followed him when he was a Cincinnati Bengal, when he was with the Patriots.
Jim?
Yes, sir.
Real quick here. There was a poster of CD, and it had all the, it said Cyclone, Hurricane, just all the, just the words,
Mm-hmm.
all the
Natural
disasters. And he was Jim Brown, Corey Dillon. That was his idol, and he ran angry every time he got the ball. And in practice, no matter where they were on the field, he ran the ball to the house. 80, 60, 40, 20 yards, didn't matter. Every time he took a handoff in practice, he ran it to the end zone. Anthony Munoz and I did a thing together for Rose Automotive. He's a spokesman for Rose Chevrolet, Rose Automotive. We got together. They wanted to sell some cars. They had balloons. They had a cookout, and I was with Anthony, an absolute gem. I mean, the GOAT of offensive linemen and offensive tackles. Boomer came back in 97, and he led the Bengals to a 4-1 finish after Jeff Blake was injured.
Mm-hmm.
And on the plane home, Bruce Coslett told Mike Brown, we can win with Boomer. They offered him a 2-year deal, but Boomer was basically done after 97, and he was offered the Monday Night Football job, so he took it.
So
Boomer, Ken Anderson. If I could have one play back from Super Bowl 16 to take one of the handoffs to Pete Johnson, just one of them, fake it, put it on your hip, and run the ball around left end and walk into the end zone.
Yes.
That would probably be it. But the work that Kenny belongs in the Hall of Fame, there's no doubt about it. If they had won a Super Bowl, he would be in it. And the work he's done with the mentally and physically challenged adults in his post-career here is just absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I forget the other guy that you mentioned.
So Ken Riley and Ken Anderson.
Oh my gosh. Ken Riley was a quarterback at FAMU.
Mm-hmm.
And he wound up becoming the athletic director and I believe the coach there. But he knew the quarterback's tendencies and he had phenomenal hands. And him and Leapin Lamar studied the opposition. And one thing that they were proficient at was flipping the wide receivers, hitting them low when they jumped high and flipping their butts. Man,
yes,
they were awesome together.
Yes.
Well,
I would take them right now. I would take their mannequins right now.
Right.
Those two dudes were unbelievable.
I'm gonna shuffle through mine because we're similar age here, so we got some similarities. But my number 5 would be a guy that if he wasn't on our team, I would have hated his guts. Whether it was Chad Johnson or Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah.
Either way, I would have hated him if he'd have played for someone. The idea of that guy playing for the Ravens makes my blood boil already. But playing for us, I love him. Absolutely love him.
You're talking Chad Johnson here.
Chad Johnson.
Okay,
yep.
Chad. Every Wednesday is like our Mondays in the NFL. Our workday Monday is Wednesday in the National Football League. The players are coming off an off day, basically. Then you get hit with an open locker room. The coach and the quarterback both talk in the news conference. Then you get the opposing coach and the opposing member, a team member from the opposing team. So it is just Armageddon Wednesdays. And I would always go in with a game plan, coming off a game from Sunday, looking ahead to what I'm going to write. And Chad Johnson demanded that you write a story on him on Wednesdays. Just the outrageous BS that he would come up with. And I know that I could do an entire show on him and a Thanksgiving to remember with Chad. And I wound up having dinner with him. And he's on the phone with Marvin Lewis, asking Marvin.
Did you guys have McDonald's?
What he wants for Christmas. We were at Jay Alexander's together, and it was quite a memorable night. All I did was turn on the microphone and let him talk. And we did an entire page in the Dayton Daily News with just Chad Johnson speaking. I had to rearrange everything to try to make it coherent. But he was
what a character.
He was a great, and the thing is, his antics overshadowed his greatness.
Oh, great!
He was
100%.
awesome. He led the AFC 4 or 5 consecutive years. I mean, second round draft pick. He was awesome. He really was.
Yep.
So 4, Tim and I both overlap Anthony Munoz.
Yeah.
Then 3, I have Geno Atkins.
Oh, what a steal. Was it the 4th or 5th round out of Georgia, or even 6th round? He was down there. 4th?
Yep.
What a monster. He was awesome. Monster. Yes.
I wish we had him now.
Oh, God, yes.
Man.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah.
My number 2, and some may say it's too early, Joe Burrow.
Thank you. I knew somebody had to say it.
I gotta put him at number 2, man. He just.
Can we still claim him as a Buckeye? I graduated with Archie Griffin.
Well,
I graduated with Archie Griffin.
Chick, this is where it might take a turn. So right where we're at here. That's my Blake Corum autograph.
Where's
over here. So I'm actually a Michigan season ticket holder, and Tim is a Notre Dame fan. So you only have 2 guys in here. We're split up a little bit.
Oh yeah, we are. I've got so many Notre Dame fans, and I grew up. Yes, I am Roman Catholic. I went to Elder High School in Cincinnati.
My college roommate did.
Grew up loving Notre Dame, no doubt. And then it all changed when I got to Ohio State.
That's good. I'm a big Ohio State fan too. Yes.
Listen, I love the rivalry. I'm Big Ten fan first.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why Notre Dame hasn't joined Big Ten, but I digress. Joe Burrow has stated that he went to college at Ohio State and he played football at LSU.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that as my stand.
Yes.
But my number 1 favorite player for Bengals all time, and this is definitely fandom. I was a Fulcher's vulture, buddy.
Oh,
David
man.
Fulcher was my guy.
He will love to hear that. Because they used the draft pick where they lost Ricky Hunley, and he wound up going to Denver. And they used one of the draft picks there to draft David Fulcher out of Arizona State. The biggest, strongest strong safety at the time. What? 6'3 plus 238 as a safety?
Yeah.
Unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. He was a monster.
Yep.
He'd have a hard time playing right now. The way he hit people, he'd get flagged a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't dirty, but the hard hits now just seem to be kind of
And
outlawed.
And Dick LeBeau let him freelance some. Some of his teammates say, oh, yeah, he wasn't always in the right position at times, but they let him freelance some. And he got his share of interceptions. And, he would love to lay the lumber on people, especially those Houston Oiler wide receivers, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. Justin, who do you have? Who do you have in your top 5 that we can add in here?
All right, so, man, this list was challenging for me to make too. Just like you said, Chick, you got so many favorite players, especially as long as you've been a Bengals fan. Yeah. I've been a Bengals fan. I'm about to be 33 years old, and I've been watching football majority of my life. And I wish this was like a top 10 list, but we'll be here all night going through everybody. So I start off number 5. I start off with Leon Hall. Leon Hall was one of my favorite DBs that ever played for the Bengals, and this is only based off of what I actually sat and watched, not necessarily looked up, cut up clips of the 80s because I wasn't there, unfortunately. I missed the Anthony Munoz era. I missed the Ken Anderson era and stuff like that. But Leon Hall was one of my favorite guys. And the reason for it was because he stabilized the defensive back room and more or less the defense as a whole. You think of those late 2000s, early 2010s decade of the Marvin Lewis defensive teams, it was Leon Hall. It didn't really run until Leon Hall really kind of took center stage, even when after Jay Joseph left. So that's why he's a guy that I'm like, man, without him, I don't think the Bengals corners or the Bengals defense was going to be the same with Zimmer.
Justin, I'm really glad you mentioned him because it was unheard of for the Bengals to draft a corner in the first round.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I remember.
Jonathan Joseph and Leon Hall, man, it kind of ushered in a new mentality for the Bengals.
Right.
And he was such a willing run stopper. It's one thing to cover,
right,
which the dude could do. Of course, being a Buckeye, wasn't all that wild about a Michigan man. But it's all forgiven when they enter the locker room. It really is.
Right.
There's rivalries there. We got, oh, man, it's awesome. It really is to see Auburn and Alabama in Georgia and then the Big Ten. But, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Leon Hall. He was a stud.
You should have seen us leading up to the draft, Chick. We were throwing this Chris Jenkins up here a lot.
Hey, that's fine. I'm rooting like
crazy too.
double golf stick for him, man.
That's right.
They need that. Oh, they need the run stuff.
Yeah,
they need to stop the run.
Specimen for sure.
It's that simple.
I feel like that the Geno Atkins clone is going to eventually be Chris Jenkins down the road, but I digress because I do want I can go on a tangent about him too.
Yeah.
My number 4. I was going to say this because I know this is one of Chase's favorite players, but I'll let him bring it up again. It's AJ Green. How can you not bring up AJ Green in the draft class? Coming off the Carson Palmer trade demands, you moved on from Chad Johnson. T.O. was not being resigned. You basically rebuilt that whole entire locker room after a disastrous 2010 season. Everybody and their mama thought with the number 4th overall pick, the Bengals needed to go quarterback, and more specifically, they need to probably get a guy like Blaine Gabbert. The Bengals trusted their observations. They trusted their small scouting staff that people like to make fun of all the time, and when they got a premier wide receiver in A.J. Green with that 4th pick, also out of Georgia. And then in the second round, when they come back and got Andy. But you can also make the argument that A.J. Green was the leading charge for the rebuild, not as much as Andy. A.J. Green was the offense. And without him, that 2011 Bengals team does not win any games without A.J. Green for the most part.
So smooth. He was physical. You know, he had – who was it from the Jaguars that got him so upset that he got
Jalen Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey. We'll never forget that.
Yeah.
But AJ Green, just unbelievable talent. And smooth.
And a
So
killer
smooth.
too. And a killer too. The only thing that I wish is that he had like the tenacious attitude that you saw like some wide receivers like a Dez Bryant. Some of that I needed to see a little bit more of that. Like he's like a ferocious,
Yes.
catch the ball for
Agreed.
defender's helmet.
Totally
I would love to
agree.
have seen a lot more
Yes.
of that. But
Yeah.
number 3, I'm not going to get into it because Brandon already mentioned it. It's Burrow. I mean, how can you not put Burrow as a favorite? Revitalize the Bengals' energy. We know that. But my 2 and 1 is actually going to be something near and dear, especially to me. That's why I saved these. Number 2, I'm going to go with TJ Hushmanzada. I know it's not Chad, but TJ Hushmanzada had the mental toughness that I've always admired about as a wide receiver. And I wish that we had more of him.
You're exactly right. When I think back to Chad, TJ, and Chris Henry, oh my God. But TJ told the story that after like high school, he laid on a couch for a year.
Right.
And he finally, winds up going to junior college and then Oregon State. And in his first year with the Bengals, he had a hamstring injury. He came very close to getting cut. Thank God they held on to him, because you're right. The toughness and the mentality that TJ had in that slot.
Oh, man.
Fantastic.
Can play the outside so well, too.
Yes.
He never feared. And the thing is about what I've always disliked about the later Marvin Lewis era teams, even the years when we went to the playoffs and didn't win a playoff game with them, the later years that I never enjoyed about those teams was that it felt like that those Bengals players always had like a psychiatric thing when it came to playing Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Except TJ Hushmanzada never feared Pittsburgh. He never feared Baltimore. He did not care. He did the wear terrible towel on his shoes.
I moved to Pittsburgh in 2011, and still today people talk about TJ Hushmanzada doing that with a terrible towel.
Yeah,
that's wild.
It's not getting let go of.
And
well,
you know
TJ
what?
told me, he said, as soon as you put the pads on, you're injured. And but he was blood, guts, heart, soul. You're right. He had a chip on his shoulder, drafted in the 7th round, whereas college teammate Chad goes in the 2nd round. Man, he came in with an attitude like I'm ready to ball. Period.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait to one day get a chance to have a conversation with him on a podcast or something, because that would be one hell of a thing. I'll be throwing out all kinds of things to him, because he is what made me be a fan of the wide receiver position. Even though Chad made the Bengals cool again in the early 2000s, it was TJ that sustained it for me. So that's why he's number 2 for me.
Yeah.
And then number 1, similar to like what Tim brought up with Anthony Munoz, I'm going to align that for my viewing pleasure for Andrew Whitworth. It's Big Whit.
Oh,
Big Whit was the leader of it all during the whole Marvin Lewis era. And you wish that a guy like him could have stuck in stripes throughout all of his tenure. But what I'm able to sleep at night, and even though we didn't win that Super Bowl in 21, I'm able to sleep at night knowing that, you know what, Big Whit got a ring out of it, and he deserves it, and he's going to the Hall of Fame now because of it.
He absolutely will be. 2nd round draft pick out of LSU. Was content to be a guard for a year or two, and then move outside. No better guy than Andrew Whitworth. And one of the questions, or one of the texts that I got today from Brandon, who are some of the the good guys that you remember? They're the offensive linemen, the Richie Brahams of the world, the Willie Andersons of the world, the Andrew Whitworths of the world. They're the offensive linemen. They only get their names published when they have a holding call or whatever. But, man, they are the best guys. And a question that I regret asking Dick LeBeau after the Bengals lost in Cleveland. Coach, do you think Richie snapped the ball over Achilles Smith's head on purpose? Oh, my God. Dick LeBeau, who unflappable, he got angry. He went after me. He says, what do you mean by that? I said, oh, nothing. Oh, yes, you did. You meant something by it. And here Richie heard it. And so when I get back in the locker room, he goes, what are you trying to do? Get me fired? I said, Richie, what kind of beer do you drink? And he said, Busch Light or whatever. And I brought in a 6-pack the next day for Richie Braham. Awesome dude. Just an awesome dude.
Oh,
My goodness. I would be scared to ask that question.
Oh, my
That's
God.
hilarious.
Steve the only player that I think wanted to kill me was Steve Tovar. And we had a great relationship my first year, 97.
Like
and I learned a big time lesson about putting your hand in the cookie jar with an interview. Because after the Bengals lost to Philly, blowing a late lead with Boomer, okay? And it was Irving Fryer caught a pass, and then I think Chris Boniol hit a 40-yard field goal at the gun. Bengals lose like 44-42 in Philly. Coming into the locker room, Boomer threw his helmet at the defense and said, "You guys don't deserve your paychecks." So on Monday in the open locker room, we're talking to Steve Tovar, and I had a great relationship with him. And I said, "Steve, do you guys deserve your paychecks?" And he came after me he came after me. Wow. And the writers had to get between us. And he never talked to me after that. And I tried to talk to his agent, and I should have said, Boomer said, "You guys don't deserve your paychecks. What's your reaction to that?" But I came out and said it. And it was bad.
I mean, I it's a fair question at the time.
Yeah, it was. But it was just my tone and my attitude. It was. Yeah.
Oh,
I could have gone. I could have gone about things a little differently.
Chase,
But,
you got the last 5. You got the last.
You know what? I
five
see Chase here. I see Chase, man, young stud on his way up to stardom. And. The one thing I'm jealous about, when I covered the Bengals, there was always your first draft pick holdout. And finally, the league listened to the veterans. We have to have a rookie salary cap. Yep. So now all the rookies sign before training camp.
Well, I think Sam Bradford solidified that.
Oh, my God, yeah. When a guy that hadn't taken a snap winds up making $50 million over 6 years or whatever, it had to end. It had to stop. It really did. Yeah. And all the holdout stories that we did, brutal, senseless, and trying to get updates from the agent and the team and all that. Now, Justin Smith holding out, not playing in his opener, signing the day before, David Pollock,
Andre Smith,
brutal. So I'm jealous. I'm jealous of the beat writers now because everybody gets signed and the money's way out of control. And then another thing Brandon asked me, the difference now and then. The NFL is all about television, the internet, social media. It dumps on newspapers. They have no regard for a newspaper's deadline at all. And everything is the publicity machine is unbelievable. I remember the Super Bowl, the greatest show on turf, the St. Louis Rams and the Tennessee Titans in Atlanta. And Chris Carter from Middletown, Ohio, Ohio State, Philadelphia Eagles, and the Minnesota Vikings, the NFL Walter Payton Man of the Year. A news conference the day before the Super Bowl. I'd say about 30 writers were there. It was no big deal. I sat in on 10 Hall of Fame meetings, choosing the Pro Football Hall of Fame members in a breakfast meeting the day before the game, where a third of the writers and voters would come in hungover from the night before, a party. And then we would get done around 1:00 and go right into a news conference. The first 2 rows of the news conference reserved for us. And they would bring out maybe one or two new Hall of Famers, like a John Elway. And it was a big deal, but now it is an Oscar-style ESPN, ESPY Awards, big-time deal.
Yeah.
Before the Super Bowl.
Everything is the show.
Everything. Yeah. Everything is a show. God, the draft. Oh my God. The red carpet. It's awesome. So
Detroit
and money.
Detroit
I remember
had
Darnay
almost
Scott signing a
800,000
3-year, $18 million deal. And man, it was, and oh my God. Yeah.
And now
got $10 million to sign.
And now Burrow at 55 looks like it's going to be a bargain.
Yeah. It just blows your mind. That's how big it is. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Chase, you got anybody you want to add to your top 5 before we let Chick get out of here?
Man, I mean, we've mentioned so many great names throughout the entire show. Again, I'm a newer generation Bengals fan, and I think I started watching them like 2008. So it's. It's been not that long compared to everybody else's timeline and everything. But again, Joe Burrow's on that list for me now. Just we all know about him. We see it every single day. AJ Green, he was my favorite before Joe got into the meld and everything else. And I remember, I forget which broadcast it was, but Dan Horde said something about AJ Green, his Baryshnikov type footwork, and how he looked like an Olympic athlete out there during training camp. I go to training camp once a year to see everything, and he wasn't lying. AJ Green was just, again, like Chick said, just smooth. The dude knew how to run routes and be crisp and play great football. And Chad with one of the quickest first steps off the release we've ever seen. I mean, he'd tell people his route, and he'd still beat him. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't put his hands on him. His feet were so quick. He'd break into a slant, and I mean, shoot, it's a 5-yard catch, taking it to the house maybe. And then Geno Atkins, we mentioned Geno, undersized heavyweight, just a great guy off that, in the interior defensive line, who I miss him in stripes. I wish he would have been on that Super Bowl team in 2021. But two guys I want to mention from the late 2000s, early 2010s. Cedric Benson. I know he passed away a few years ago, but man, he was such a hard runner, just a downhill back. They would run stretch all the time and just stretch it out, nearly to the sideline. He just cut it right back up. Yeah. And I remember the run against the Jets that he had in the 2009-10 wild card game. I remember he just break off some big runs, but Cedric Benson, a big back out of Texas and everything else, but obviously rest in peace to him. And then Reggie Nelson. Reggie Nelson had a couple really good years with Cincinnati Bengals, and he had one year, I believe it was 2015, where he led the league in picks with 8. And now we have a guy on the back end on the current Bengals team, and Geno Stone, who led the league in interceptions at 7. Maybe he can do the same thing and kind of enter the realm of Reggie Nelson when it comes to being a ball hawk and having a nose for the football. But Reggie Nelson, obviously, the long dreads, it was a very, it wasn't hard to pick him out in there, wear the visor, just come over the top and just make a play on the football and everything. But I just enjoyed watching, those two guys and wanted to,
Reggie would put down about 6 towels at his locker coming out of the shower. He had to have a lot of towels, just to feel good on his feet. Hey, the Ring of Honor, Corey Dillon and Tim Crumry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Crummy, 11th round draft pick out of Wisconsin.
Wow.
With the blood on the bridge of his nose.
Yep.
That tells the entire story. And he took the first round draft pick, man. Dave Remington drove him off the field, man. And that was Tim Crumry. Can I leave you with a Mike Brown story?
Yes,
absolutely.
We're all for
it. Right, awesome. Spinney Field is now, that's where the Bengals used to train. When the wind would blow off the Mill Creek, your eyes would burn. Okay, so it smelled bad. Spinney Field was tough down by the Mill Creek. Okay. After practice or when the team is practicing, school buses would go over like the trestle over Spinney, and you would hear some kids yell, "You suck," okay, at the team, from the school bus. So I'm up in Mike Brown's office one day at Spinney, and he's wearing his seersucker suit and his wingtip shoes. And we're just talking about some general stuff. And, the Bengals had started, I think it was like 1998. They got off to a pretty good start, like 3-1 or whatever. And Mike gets up from his desk and he walks around and he goes, and he's got a little bit of a lisp, and he goes, "Oh, Chick, maybe now the kids on the school bus going over the viaduct won't yell, 'You suck,' anymore."
That's great.
So a great Mike Brown story.
That's great. Hey, Chick, we appreciate you spending some time with us on your Wednesday evening. I know how precious time is. And, I'm hopeful, since you did a little preseason with us, maybe we can do a postseason recap. If we maybe this is the year we get that first Super Bowl.
I'm feeling it.
That'd be a wonderful thing.
I am feeling it. Yeah. Hey, great meeting you guys. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We won't be the first to wish you a happy 70th, Chick.
Thank you so much. 7/25/54. Ouch.
Yeah.
All right.
Happy birthday.
Take care. Thanks so much.
Much
Good night.
appreciated.
Thanks, Chick.
All right. Well, the legend, Chick Ludwig. That was a great little pop in, man. We appreciate it. Great to get some of these guys on here, man. We had Jake Lisco on. Now we had Chick. I've got a couple other things working in the mix. Would love to get some of these guys on, getting some of their Bengals history and some of that stuff. I'm gonna kick it around here. Chase, any party shots or last comments before we wrap this one up?
46 days away from the first Bengals game. Hey, I'm excited for it. Got word that Iron Eagles calling the first game of the season for us in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I saw that with Charles Davis.
Oh yeah, maybe it's a plug in the future. We'll see.
Hey, keep it going, Tim. Any party shots on the way out?
I enjoyed
beautiful background.
I enjoyed today's show. Chick was great. I hope everybody that was listening or that is listening or that are watching enjoyed the show. Like I always say, every Wednesday, like, subscribe, share with a friend. We appreciate you. We love you. We appreciate all your help. Have a great week.
Yeah, definitely some great insight. Justin, what was your take and your parting thoughts here?
The Chickster brought the energy just like he does on the radio, and it's unmatched. I kept wanting to kind of like feed off of that, but a part of when we have guests on, and we're learning this as well too, is that they just got to be able to let them go, let them do their thing, man, because this is what they do. And he absolutely, and the great thing that he was able just to pull just stories out of the hat when he came to talk about any player. And he already knew what the stories that he was going to say about this guy or that guy. It all came together so beautifully. And just, I'm happy to have him on. Like Tim said, if you didn't get a chance to check out this live stream with Chickster, you be sure to catch the audio version when that drops here. So that way you can listen to it on your morning commute or whatever the case it may be. But it's a fun episode. Great to have Chick on, and future guests like him in the future. So coming up on Run Through the Jungle. So you guys definitely don't want to miss out.
Yeah, I mean, wealth of knowledge, like a Rolodex memory. Every person we brought up, he had something about. It was great. But more than anything, I think I took away, what a passion, man. A passion for the Bengals, and just a passion for humanity and a passion for life. It's a pretty great characteristic to have, man. Chick Ludwig is one of a kind, man. We appreciate him jumping on. like we said, summer vacation is over. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in to us again. We will be on every Wednesday night at 8:05, and we will start having some of our other shows coming up here during the week as we get into this season. Austin's our Quad Father. I saw you jump in there late. A couple of you other guys in the chat. We much appreciated all that support. Make sure you like, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, and join us next week as we are running through the jungle.